Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers has finally hit Disney+, and the movie offers up hundreds of cameos from favourite animated characters and Easter eggs to some of our favourite pop culture. Before we start off, a couple of days back I uploaded this video where I broke down 300 tidbits I found in the movie. The video you're watching right now acts as a companion, so if you haven't already, I would suggest checking the first video out first by the link above, then coming back to this one. In that video I mentioned that there was likely plenty of cameos and Easter eggs that I missed, and asked you, the viewer, to let me know down in the comments if you picked up on anything else that I didn't. And boy, did you let me know! Thanks to you, I've been able to compile a list of over 50 more Easter eggs and cameos that'll form the basis of this video. Once again, we'll be going from topic to topic, which are time-coded below on the timeline. Of course, if there's any more that I've missed, make sure to let me know down in the comments. I don't think I'll be making a third video though. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Let's get into it. There's quite a few classic Rescue Rangers references that I missed out on last time. Last time I did point out Dale's spin-off series, 00 Dale, being a clear reference to the James Bond movies. However, it's been mentioned that this could certainly be a reference to the Rescue Rangers episode 00 Chipmunk, where Dale takes on a James Bond-esque super spy persona.
You forget that you're dealing with 00 Dale, super spy!
There's also another reference to 00 Chipmunks in here, as Chip and Dale dress as rats to infiltrate Sweet Pea's bootlegging facility. This is the exact same disguise used by Chip to fool Dale into taking part in a fake espionage adventure in the episode.
Come on, episode 45! You dressed up like a rat to fool me! You don't remember?
Professor Nimnal from the original series can be seen at various points throughout the movie, once during the filming of the Fat Cat Attack episode, and again at the end during the credits. We also briefly see a couple of members of Fat Cat's gang in the background of the Main Street scene. This looks like Meps the cat and Wart the lizard. There's a piece of artwork on the wall of Monty's apartment featuring obscure character Glitch from the Rescue Rangers comics. Glitch was the founder of the Danger Rangers, a secondary investigative team. Zipper is also heard saying,
"Rescue Rangers, away."
A catchphrase from the original series. Also, there's a nice little nod to the original series creator, Tad Stones, who voices the Hollywood agent which offers Chip and Dale their own television show.
Chip? Dale? How would you like your own show?
We've also got a few more Disney cameos here, so this is a pretty serious one that I missed. I of course picked up on the packet of Moana nuts, but I somehow missed out on this smorgasbord of themed food packets chilling in Chip's freezer, which includes Frozone food, a packet of frozen vegetables featuring the Incredibles Frozone, and Ice Age ice cream featuring Scrat from Blue Sky Studios' animated franchise, of course now owned by Disney. During the police search scene following Monty's kidnapping, a chocolate eclair and donut police officer can be seen. This is Winchell and Duncan respectively, King Candy's henchmen from Wreck-It Ralph. These two guys take their names from both Winchell's Donuts and Dunkin' Donuts food chains. We get an appearance from obscure Disney character The Little House, who appeared in Walt Disney's 1952 short cartoon The Little House, directed by Wilfred Jackson. Disney's synopsis for the movie reads, "The little house begins life happily in the country, but with progress, it is soon completely overtaken and surrounded by the encroaching big city. Here we see the little house is still living in the city, where she's one of Chip's friendly neighbours." I pointed out the Scrooge McDuck cameo during the infiltration sequence, though what I failed to notice is that David Tennant, who provided the voice for the DuckTales reboot, is credited at the end of the movie. Very likely that an archival recording was used here instead of a completely fresh dub. I also pointed out the appearance of Tigra at the Comic-Con, and while she's at a booth heavily referencing the classic early 90s animated series Avengers United They Stand from Saban International, others were quick to point out that Marvel Entertainment was producing a Tigra and Dazzler series for Disney's Hulu only a few years back before it was cancelled. While the Tigra seen in Chip 'n Dale certainly more resembles the United They Stand version, this could be a cool little Easter egg. It's also also worth pointing out here that issue number 1 of Marvel's The Cat from 1972, Tigra's debut issue, can be seen in the background. While we see various rats in Mr. Bjornson's stinky cheese cellar, there's been some suggestion that these two guys in the back here are Remy and Emile from Ratatouille, but I'm not 100% sold on this one. Clearing up an error from the last video, on Main Street we get to see the Colonel from 101 Dalmatians, which I incorrectly accredited to Lady and the Tramp. Well, likewise worth noting that the Funny and Pork Chop billboard featuring Doug and Pork Chop from Disney's Doug is an advertisement for a personal injury firm and not a Doug feature film. And we've got a few more general animation cameos. When Chip and Dale pull up to the Uncanny Valley, we get one of the most spectacular hidden eggs of them all. On a wall in the background, a whole bunch of graffiti can be seen. This is in fact the graffiti that Miles Morales and his uncle Aaron created at the beginning of Sony's Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Another great Spidey cameo comes in the background of Tigra's booth, where 1977's Marvel team-up number 67, which features Spider-Man and Tigra, can be seen in the background. A very sneaky way for Disney to use Spidey in one of their movies. Doubling back to this shot, we've also got a packet of Tyson's Looney Tunes pasta, featuring Foghorn Leghorn and Henry Hawk. Coolest thing here is that this was an actual product from the early 1990s, part of an entire product range of Looney Tunes food items. One really bizarre appearance here is from Robert Crumb's Mr. Natural, who appeared in various comics throughout the 1960s and 1970s. A fairly obscure character, Mr. Natural was best known amongst counterculture and underground comics crowds of the era. With appearances such as these, you'd be forgiven if you never expected to see him in a Disney film. Additionally, in the police station, there's an appearance of McGruff the Crime Dog, a character used in various crime prevention, awareness, and personal safety public service announcements, advertisements, and outreach programs in the USA. Also, how could I forget the appearance of Ugly Sonic? Oh wait, I didn't. I just wanted to briefly show him so I could get away with using him as clickbait on my thumbnail. There's a few bootleg cameos I missed last time round too. Firstly, on the wall in the facility, we can see an image of Turbo the Snail from DreamWorks' Turbo, in a weird cross-hybrid with Jiminy Cricket, who appears on the wall above him. When the team stumbles across the wall full of cartoon parts, there's a few I missed here last time. We've got the tail of Pikachu, possibly a piece of Barney the Dinosaur, Dora the Explorer's legs, the mouth of Cartoon Network's Red Guy from Cow and Chicken and I Am Weasel, and the gloves of the mum from Cartoon Network's Dexter's Laboratory. A couple of errors here too. I previously referred to this as Captain Hook's hook, but have been assured that it is in fact Garfield's tail and butt, while this piece of anime hair is, well, the hair of Sora from Kingdom Hearts. Of course, I pointed out the bootleg Simpsons in the last video, but it slipped my mind to mention that these primitive designs are actually incredibly reminiscent of the characters' original forms on the Tracy Ullman Show when they first debuted in 1989. We've also got a couple of new additions from the climax sequence. We have a Snork from Hanna-Barbera's Snork series, crossed with either Belgian cartoon Lucky Luke or Toy Story's Woody. Princess Tiana's frog form from Disney's Princess and the Frog, perhaps crossed with the film's Ray the Firefly. Samurai Jack crossed with French comic hero Black Sad. And an insanely buff Toby the Turtle from Disney's Robin Hood. We've also got a couple of corrections. This is of course Fruit Loops Toucan Sam crossed with the Lion King's Zazu, not Aladdin's Iago. That's a pretty obvious slip of the tongue right there. Fred Flintstone is crossed with not Goofy, but the Goofy movie's Bigfoot. We've also got Pinocchio's Jiminy Cricket crossed with Finn from Adventure Time. Additionally, this guy right here I referred to as Avatar's Aang, but I'm assured that it is incorrect. Unfortunately, no one's been able to help me correctly identify him yet. Finally, there's our big bad Frankenstein Sweet Pete. While I correctly identified Peter Pan's body, Wreck-It Ralph's arm, Woody's leg, Optimus Prime's leg, and the head of Fat Cat crossed with Aristocat's Felicia, some have mentioned his right shoulder pauldron comes from Shredder of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, while others noted that his arm blaster and cannon are incredibly reminiscent of Bullet Bill and the Bomb-Oms from Mario. I also asked what you all thought this coat was from, and I received a lot of suggestions. The leading theories here are Long John from Treasure Planet, Zurg from Toy Story, and Maleficent from Sleeping Beauty. While it certainly doesn't match any of these exactly, they do seem close. This could either be an amalgamation or simply an inspired generic villain coat. Finally, I was corrected on a few errors when it comes to his voices. His laugh is in fact Cruella de Vil's, not Maleficent's, while is TMNT's Shredder. While Jim Cummings is listed as the voice, it's likely a direct archival rip, as this was a classic catchphrase of the character from the show. There's hundreds of cosplay characters here that we could spend weeks picking apart. A few that I definitely missed, however, was this guy wearing a Sonic helmet, a Team Zissou member from Wes Anderson's The Life Aquatic, a mermaid, and a character from The Sims. Others have claimed to have spotted the likes of Ace Ventura, the Pet Detective, Deadpool, and Shaggy from Scooby-Doo, but I simply could not find them. There's a couple of small Disney references here too. While I pointed out the Terminator 2 references in the scene where Captain Putty meets his demise, I missed a pretty blatant Roger Rabbit reference, where Putty's hand turns into an anvil right before he is killed. At the end of Roger Rabbit, Judge Doom does the exact same thing when he's revealed as a toon just prior to his death. Also, the sequences where we see them filming various cartoons is highly reminiscent of the opening sequence of Roger Rabbit. At the climax of the movie, a 9-man boat shop can be seen on the edge of the dock. This is a clear reference to the 9 Old Men, an affectionate name that Walt gave to his key animators in the 1950s. Notably, the team of artists who had been at the studio since its earliest days and would go on to train the next generation of artists. A bit of a dark one here. Many have drawn parallels between Peter Pan's villain origin in the movie to the real-life story of original Peter Pan voice actor Bobby Driscoll. Of course, in the movie, Pan reveals that he was cast in the biggest movie in the world and was loved by all, but once he went through puberty and grew up, he was thrown away like he was nothing by Hollywood, leading him to a life of despair and a turn to crime. Driscoll's story certainly has some parallels. He was originally hired by Disney in the late 1940s to star in their first live-action film, Song of the South, and was one of the first actors the studio put under contract, certainly one of the studio's very first child stars. He soon became a studio favourite, starring in dozens of Disney movies and television episodes. His last major role was voicing Peter in Peter Pan, though soon after, an onset of puberty forced the studio to terminate his contract, deeming him no longer suitable for child roles. Being branded Disney's kid actor, Hollywood refused to cast him in much else, essentially abandoning him. Driscoll would later note, "I was carried on a silver platter and then dumped into the garbage," eerily similar to Pete's line in the movie. Following his desertion by Hollywood, Driscoll fell into a depression, leading to police troubles and heavy drug use, which eventually killed him at the age of 31. I think it's pretty clear that these parallels are intentional, otherwise it's a pretty wild coincidence. This certainly hasn't been done in a disrespectful way. I think it's just been used to highlight the long persisting issue of troubled Hollywood child stars, and I don't think it should be taken as offensive as some have claimed. We've also got a small number of general animation references. After Monty is kidnapped and Chip and Dale head to his apartment to give the statement to police, Chip makes a brief mention of Hanna-Barbera's classic Scooby-Doo, when Dale suggests they take on their Chip and Dale personas to solve the crime.
We're as much real detectives as the Scooby-Doo gang.
Later, Allie makes mention of Paw Patrol attacking a police sergeant when they raided the Nickelodeon facility following the disappearance of Peppa Pig. At the convention, we see that He-Man and Skeletor from Masters of the Universe appear at their own booth. What I failed to mention last time was that Skeletor is actually voiced here for the first time in over 40 years by original series voice artist Alan Oppenheimer. It's also been pointed out that all of the jabs at rapping toons cartoons, while not only taking the mickey out of the common trope seen in numerous cartoon reboots, could also be a direct reference to Space Jam: A New Legacy, which featured a much maligned rapping tunes sequence. We also get some generic pop culture references here too. When Chip is walking home from work at the start of the movie, he can be heard listening to Laid to Rest by Lamb of God. We've got a Monty Python poster hanging at one of the convention booths here. While I mentioned this in one of my trailer breakdowns, I failed to mention it in the actual video. It's quite possible that Jimmy the Polar Bear is in fact based on the classic Coca-Cola polar bear, which is often used in Christmas advertising. He does wear a Christmas sweater, though it's non-specific, managing to avoid any copyright, like many of the film's bootleg characters. I think it's quite funny that the movie itself actually uses this tactic quite a few times. I did point out the Mission Impossible references in this sequence where Chip and Dale face a laser field. While they reference the fake episode Mission Chip Possible before they jump in, some have astutely observed that the laser field here is more reminiscent of that in either 1999's Entrapment or 2004's Ocean's 11. Also in the facility break-in sequence, some have suggested that the animation scanner that turns Chip and Dale into various different animation forms resembles the head of Johnny Five from Short Circuit. You know, we might actually be starting to stretch these really hard at this point, so let's close this one out. And with that, I'm throwing it over to you. Did I miss anything that you spotted? Make sure you let me know down below. If you'd like to know my full thoughts on the movie, you can check out my review linked on your screen, alongside my Cartoon Evolution episode charting the character's extensive history. Also, don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks again for watching.